Hey everyone, it's Anthony Allen Ramos. All right, Brandon Scott Jones is a writer and an actor who so many of us are loving on CBS's Ghost, which just wrapped up its first season. Don't worry, it's coming back for season 2. But if you can't wait for more Brandon, May 13th, his new hilarious comedy called Senior Year dropped. And I'm so happy to be chatting with Brandon about both of these projects. I have to tell you, Brandon, I saw the film. I'm one of the lucky ones since it's not quite out yet. It is absolutely a riot. I cannot get enough of it.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you liked it. That's cool.
I did, and I should say, not only are you are a star in this, you actually co-wrote the screenplay, which makes it even more amazing. And I have to say, I want to know all about the writing process, but it's probably like the best soundtrack I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's so funny. Thank you. First of all, the movie takes place in 2002 and 2022. And 2002 was like my year. That was like my teeny bopper, like senior year. And so when I turned in my first draft of the screenplay, after I got that job to sort of like do a rewrite on it, I added all these songs. And the producers came to me and they're like, this budget for the music that you want in this film is like $2 billion. It's like every single thing I wanted. They were like, okay, well that's like a $700,000 song. So we're gonna have to like get rid of 10 scenes if you wanna have the second play of Christina Aguilera's Come On Over. You know what I mean?
If you're gonna do that, then Rebel Wilson can no longer be a part of the film because we can't afford to pay.
Exactly. Right. We can just make a mixtape and just release that if that's what you want.
No, but people, let me tell you, the songs, we're talking Britney, Christina, Celine Dion version, then there is, oh my gosh, I'm not spoiling anything, but there is Bewitched, C'est La Vie. I mean, I was like, come on people, too good. But
oh my God.
For this film, like you said, it starts in 2002. This girl has a dream of becoming popular, becoming a cheerleader. She does it, and just when she thinks she's got it all, oops, she has an accident, gets in a coma. Flash forward 20 years later, she's 37, and she is back to redo her experience. Is that right?
That is perfect. That was perfect.
But it's so, I mean, like, you're in it, you play a guidance counselor, Rebel Wilson is the main star, and then we have so many other great people in it. But tell me, because you wrote this, I think, with 2 other people, the screenplay, right?
Yeah, it kind of came to me, as a rewrite. So like that screenplay had already existed, and I think it had been in development throughout at different studios or various incarnations. And by the time it got to me, they had finally attached Rebel, but it had been a couple years, and I think they wanted to update it a little bit and give it a polish and something for her. And she and I did a movie together a few years ago called Isn't It Romantic, where I played her best friend in that movie. And since then, we stayed in contact. And so she recommended me as like the writer, because she and I both know we write and we talk about that stuff all the time. And so she recommended me as the writer, and the producer of that movie was also the producer of this movie. So it was sort of kismet. And so I sort of took the script that they already had and sort of updated it and rebel-fied it, if that's a word.
So funny. And here's the thing, and it's what I also love is, like, basically it shows like, okay, what was acceptable in 2002 in high school is no longer acceptable, which is kind of cool, because what we really see in the new 2022 version are a bunch of queer kids in school. They're all doing their own thing. They're dressing the way they want to. They don't care. How cool was it to be kind of a part of, that part of it too?
It was amazing. To be honest with you, I'm still friends with all the young cast. We like go out for lunch. I saw some of them last night. We went to the Magic Castle. It's truly, they are amazing. And I think you kind of really hit the nail on the head, where I'm like, that is the thing that really interested me the most about doing this when I was thinking about like coming on to the project. It was very much about, what if you went to high school and She's All That, you hit your head, wake up, and then 20 years later you have to go back to Euphoria. But really, as edgy and as cutting, really as edgy as Euphoria may seem, the stuff that we were doing back then was even like way worse, and like you would never do it now. And so to get to see, I really wanted this movie to be a celebration of where we've come, what high schoolers are like. And I was very, very, very moved and very touched. Oh, I get kind of like emotional talking about it sometimes.
I love that, because it's so important.
Yeah, I was just really moved and touched by the cast and the way they interact with each other, even off screen. And I just thought that they're so cool and they're so open and I'm so optimistic for where the world is heading with that generation. Not to sound like an old person, I'm literally like one generation behind them, but like I'm so excited to see how they embrace each other and they embrace each other's uniqueness, and that's hopefully what's coming through in this, is that, you know, there used to be this like mold that you had to fit in, and then now I think this, you know, with the invention of, you know, social media and all that included, it really feels like this is like an opportunity for celebrating somebody who stands out, and I really was inspired by them.
It's so important because I think about even like with the stuff that I used to watch when I was like high school age or whatever. Like I still thought I had to be like the puka shell wearing hot jock in order to like have any chance of making it in life, you know?
Yeah, I know, 100%. And that was like the thing, I was like, oh, I love the idea that like the cool guy in this movie, he's like, I don't know, he's just like wearing kilts around town, he's wearing skirts. Yeah. It's like, and Michael Cimino plays him and he's just so brilliant as that. But it's like, it's sort of like Harry Styles, right? Like, I wish somebody like Harry Styles existed when I was younger, because he just is such a great example of like, you can be who you want to be, and it feels authentic and so forth.
I could not agree more, and I want to talk more all about that with your character and Ghost. But before, I won't spoil anything with senior year. But there is a Britney tribute, Britney Spears, of course. Won't say what that is, but I was very happy you went with the choice that you did. So how hard was it to kind of narrow down which Britney Spears moment you would do a little homage to? Oh my,
you know, it's so, that specific moment that we chose was, I knew that was the one thing I knew right from the get-go. That was like, I wanted that one. And I was so like, I talked to the producers and I talked to the director. I was like, this is the one that it has to be. And knowing that it's a long shot to get any Britney song, because, you know, she's an icon, and that's not, being an icon is not cheap. But Crazy to me, oh, I'm spoiling it, but Crazy, oh well, it's
no, it's good. It's so good.
It's like it's such an iconic video to me. There's the thing that's actually the most iconic about it though, it was the MTV Making the Video episode that they did around it. And it was that, I don't know if you would remember this, but that was like where Britney quoted, "I just have so much choreography on my head right now." So there was a lot of fun stuff there. And also it was Darren from Darren's Dance Grooves choreographed it. And it was just such an iconic moment in my life watching that, because I loved her so much, that the fact that we got to recreate it, it was one of the most surreal things ever in my brain.
So good. It's so well done. It looks like it was like, you didn't get to dance in it, I don't think, unless there's someone in there that I didn't see.
No, it was the great tragedy of my life was I had to go up north to film Ghost. So I had to leave the project, and they were filming that a little bit later. Had I been there, you absolutely would have seen me just walk through in the background, dressed as somebody else, dressed as Mr. T, who even knows? But like, it's like this thing where like teenage Brandon got to grow up, and you know how you have like these fantasies of like, oh, I want to be in the Crazy music video. Like I remember recreating the Crazy music video with my friends when I was a kid. And then now somebody gave us $30 million. We got to do it. You know, it's like, this is wild.
No, I remember like specifically, it must have been like my 16th birthday. Let's see, I don't even know. No, less. I don't even know. But I remember I was having a monumental birthday party that I thought, and I was like, at this time, you're gonna play the Britney Spears Crazy Stop remix. It has to be exactly, you know.
Stop remix. It's very, very important distinction.
Very important distinction. So just a reminder, everyone, May 13th, senior year, starring Rebel Wilson and this gentleman and many others. I forgot to mention Justin Hartley, so many more people. Like I can't even think of them all right now. But May 13th, so make sure to stream that. But we have to talk about Ghost. Yes. Season 1 just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. And Isaac finally big, you know, we're not spoiling it, you know, it's been out there for a couple weeks. People don't, you know.
Yeah, spoilers be gone. Yeah, it's fine, you're good.
But nobody got sucked off. I've been waiting to say that. If you don't know what that means, anyone, that's what happens when the ghosts are no longer there. So I'm not saying anything inappropriate. However, but it is so great because it has, you know, like we saw this arc happen for Isaac, and it kind of ended in a really great way. And what I also think about so much with this show, I just think on network television, there's such a wide variety of people that tune in of all ages, especially with it being on CBS. I mean, what does it mean for you as an out actor to be like telling this very hilarious, but also important story?
It really means a lot. It's very, very cool. I remember specifically on like when I was younger, like, you know, broadcast TV was really the only game in town, besides like HBO or anything. And you didn't see too many of those stories on broadcast television. Like obviously we had Will and Grace, but it was only about that. And it's really nice that we get to have this be part of the mix and part of the larger story. But it's also kind of cool because I find it's like, the more I've thought about it and the more I've been able to like play with the character and talk to the showrunners, like the subversion of it a little bit, the idea of playing a founding father era person and making him, he's challenging the idea of what like a classic masculinity is, but like also at the same time feeling the pressures of that. And I feel like that's such a universal story. And I think it's really, really, really cool when we have those opportunities, because when the stories are universal like that, they lend themselves to intergenerational conversations, which I think is really cool. And I think that's sort of what the show at its core does really well, is that it does have the wildly different intergenerational conversations, like a Viking and a hippie. But it's just really, really, really fun as well to get to play a coming out story for somebody who's basically been in the closet for 2.5 centuries.
Completely. And I think, you know, you mentioned that it was kind of like a collaborative effort with this storyline with you and getting to kind of like have discussions with the writers and the producers. Did you feel like you could totally like, you know, have a part of that and just like they would listen to you, because obviously it's an important, you know, thing to get right for you?
Yeah, it was. The thing that was the most important was that obviously the show's not about him, but you don't want anything to just be played for laughs with no substance underneath of it. Like we can have fun with these jokes about, you know, him being in the closet and making double entendres or accidental innuendos. But at some point there has to be some sort of substance. And I pulled Joe Port and Joe Wiseman aside early on, and I just wanted to know, I was like, where are you guys seeing this go? And they were very open to collaborating with like how far he comes out of the closet or what that process would be like, all the way up until the end when he finally does get a chance to like admit his feelings. And that moment I would say was one of the most collaborative, because, you know, coming out is different for everyone. It's not just a light switch, right? It's not just, okay, well, yesterday was straight, now today you're gay. This is like a long, long process. And so I think it was really interesting to get a chance to play that self-acceptance storyline in a way that feels like it's really, really been boiling underneath his skin for a long, 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 long time, longer than ever I could have imagined. And it felt like 250 years when I was in the closet, but it, you know, so yeah, it was really, really, really cool.
That's a good follow-up to my question. You know, you mentioned being for your own. What was your coming out story like? And did you find it, I think about my own experience. It wasn't easy, but I mean, I would hope that it's easier for like the kids, the next generation that we talked about, you know, today. For you, you know, what was the experience like for you? It
was challenging. I mean, like for me, I grew up as like an athlete, and I wanted to be an athlete. And, you know, there's obviously all the culture that comes along with that. But it was also, you know, with my parents and the sense of disappointment and the sense of not being the person that you thought you were going to be, not being the person that they wanted you to be. And so I found some challenges with it. And it took me like a little bit longer, I think, than most people. I mean, I was coming out of the closet like by the time I was like 20, 21, but it was very incremental and very, 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 very slow. And the other thing that I always was concerned about was, I remember when I was in drama school too, like my drama school teachers telling me to sort of like butch it up. It was actually like one of the phrases that they used. And I was like, what? And I was like, I was like, what does that even fucking mean? Like, I'm like, it still angers me. But that stuff like sets you back. You're like, oh wait, my career is going to be compromised from this. And as I got more comfortable with myself and I got more comfortable exploring and putting that stuff out there more publicly, because I was a writer and performer at the Upright Citizens Brigade, and allow that stuff to sort of infiltrate my work, it only helped me. And it was this thing that I wish I could kind of go back and tell my younger self that stuff. And when it comes to like the new generation, yeah, I think like that's sort of like the job of a generation, right? Like I think like if we can build platforms for the next one to stand on, then we're doing our jobs. And I hope that we are doing that for this younger generation as much as we can. But they're doing a great job on their own too.
Very well said. And I'm not an actor, but I would hope that, I mean, it does seem like that whole, like, you can't be gay and, you know, get the leading role or be, you know, successful. I feel like that's hopefully going away. I mean, thankfully we have a lot of amazing people that are putting us in, you know, leading like big important roles like you have. I mean, what's your take on that? Do you feel like, you know, it's a little easier than maybe when you started your career?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's sort of, you know, you still get your fair share of gay assistant auditions or like, hey, you know what, you're gonna play a sassy person, and you're like, okay, well, I know what you guys are going for. But I do think that, yeah, we have like really great creators that we're celebrating a little bit more now. Like Joel Booster has his movie coming out, Fire Island. I'm so pumped about it. Billy Eichner has his movie coming out, and they're giving us, it sounds like a charity, but like hopefully people are seeing that these are stories that are gonna appeal to everybody, and they're, you know, because they're truthful and they're about the human condition and the experience. And I do feel like that there's a shift coming, right? You never want to like lose the queerness aspect of it, but also at the same time, you don't want it to ever say like, well, no, you're not going to like it, because that's not true, you know?
Completely. I mean, it's such a good point. And I love that, like you said, even like with Billy Eichner's movie Bros, like having like that kind of, you know, representation in like that genre. I never thought that would happen in a, you know, in a big budget film. So that's
yeah, it's crazy. I remember even like when Love, Simon came out, I was like day one, I wanted to go see it. I mean, there's all these stories. Like I was watching Heartstopper. I mean, whether you like the actual product or not, I just think it's really, really cool when we have films that are on, like made for larger audiences about those stories, and it's just really, really exciting. And it's something that I just missed like so much when you're like even writing. People are like, the one piece of advice like every producer will tell you is like, write the movie that you want to see that you don't think exists. And I so many times will sit down and I've watched like Alex Strangelove which I think was just such a wonderful, very specific film. And I was so grateful that person put that out there and that people were able to fund that, because I think that's what it is. I didn't see those movies. I'm so happy that more are coming. And that when you have a movie like Senior Year too, where, you know, there's tons of queer characters all throughout that film. And it is what it is. It's a reflection of who we all are.
That's so well said. Yes, reminder everyone, May 13th.
Did you get the plug?
So hilarious. Michael Cimino is so great, and it's so funny. I was like, it's all connected because we talked about Love, Simon, and then he's in Love, Victor, and then it's like, which is
Michael Cimino. Let me tell you, he is not only a star, but he is just the loveliest human being on the planet. Like he is pure love and warmth. That dude, I love him so much.
I love that. Okay, before I let you go, Ghost. We know season 2 is happening, and that's got to be so good. Look, it's such a good feeling. You're like, everyone loved the show so much, like, you know, it's a new show and now it's coming back. It came, you know, people wanted more of it right away. Maybe there's gonna be like more love interest beyond what we know. I mean, have you even thought about that? Who could play the new love interest for? I
know, wouldn't that be so interesting if like somebody were to like die on the property and then suddenly Isaac's like, oh my God, I now have new feelings, right? It's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of wild too. I think like Isaac feeling, it's sort of like, what's kind of funny on like this like almost like steroids-y way, like that experience where, you know, he's in love with the only other gay ghost, you know what I mean? And it's sort of like how, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but when people would try to set you up, they'd be like, you're gay and I know a gay, maybe you guys can get together. And you're like, well, that's not really how it works. And so the idea that he could be having options would be so funny. I'm going to literally email this interview to our showrunners.
Hey, I have some thoughts too. I know, but that is so funny because it's always like, oh, you're from Indiana? Oh, you must know my friend in it. I'm like, it doesn't work. I mean, yeah,
exactly. Same deal, yeah.
Well, Brandon, congrats on everything. I feel like you're on like such a moment, which is so cool. And congratulations that Senior Year is gonna be out on Netflix May 13th. And then of course, We will have more Ghosts on CBS very soon.